Welcome to Meet the CIO, a new career-oriented interview series presented by the IT Executives Council. My name is Lindsay Brown, Executive Director of the IT Executives Council, and today I'm very excited to present our latest Meet the CIO interview. In this series, we interview top IT executives from some of the most interesting companies and organizations in the world. These interviews provide our members and subscribers with invaluable firsthand insights as they focus on career tips, advice, and ultimately secrets to success. With that, there's no better time to introduce our esteemed panelists, Nguyen. Vu is a results-driven and highly qualified IT executive offering more than 11 years of experience in design, delivery, and operations management across multiple enterprise technology stacks. He is currently the Chief Information Officer at CHE Behavioral Health Services. As a former hospital system CIO, his focus is on delivering technology that supports patient care. At CHE Behavioral Health, Vu is working to implement a new EHR system and refactor their complex provider compensation system. He is working through some fantastic projects around patient scheduling for their telehealth business, as well as redoing their website to help patients select the best fits. Vu, welcome, and thanks for joining us today. I'll let you share a little bit about your current role and background before we get to the Q&A today.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to share a little bit about myself. So I was raised and born in Orange County. I have a BS from UCLA in cognitive science and received my MBA from the University of Phoenix. I'm also a member of Chime and hold a CHCIO. And so I'm just super proud to work for a company like CHE Behavioral Services. We're one of the largest employers of mental health providers in the United States, spanning over about 15 states. It's a multi-specialty clinic-based group that is dedicated to improving lives. And so the organization itself has been providing services for over 20 years. And so we like to say that it is a old startup in the sense that in the last 5 years or so, they started focusing on the technology and modernizing a lot of their workflows. And so that's where I come in to kind of help them bridge that gap.
Great, and thanks for sharing that background with our attendees. So we'll get right to our Q&A session. First up, what inspired you to pursue a career in information technology?
Yeah, and I think that's a question I get quite often. I always loved magic as a kid and the wonder of it. And so while I was never good at performing magic, I think technology in the early 2000s gave that same kind of sense and feeling to me. And so I always love to take things apart and really understand the mechanisms that make it work. And my parents originally wanted me to pursue medicine, but I just could never get my head wrapped around organic hemp. And so I think that was a huge crutch and dissatisfier for me. And so I went into technology because I think that's what just really interested me. And then I think what inspires me in technology is that it can truly make a difference in people's lives, right? I think technology is always seen as this back office, behind closed doors, black box of a department. But when used correctly and when leveraged correctly, it can really make a change, a positive change in patient lives.
Yeah, I like that. It can definitely make a difference, especially in the industry you're in. All right, now what are the roles and responsibilities of a CIO and how has that changed over time?
Yeah, I think years ago when I first started, the CIO roles and responsibilities were super limited to strictly networking and hardware and break fixes and why doesn't my printer work kind of thing. And I think it's evolved a tremendous amount over the last 10 years in that organizations are now heavily dependent on technology and applications. And so we really, as a CIO, have a seat at that table, right? And it's our responsibility to use it wisely. I think savvy CEOs who are, our partners, right, really rely on us to help craft solutions to complex problems alongside with the CFO and COO. And so I think from a roles and responsibility perspective, it's a lot. It's technology decisions. It's not only it's human resource decisions. It's how do we solve for this problem within budget? How do we make sure that all of the solutions that we have is secure and can be delivered where end users can have access to it real time or at their fingertips? And so it's definitely evolved and it's different for each organization, but at the crux of it, we're responsible for all the technology that occurs in the organization, everything from printer management, right, which is the bane of my existence, all the way up to, modern strategy over the next 5 years and where we're going to invest our money into.
Yeah, that's great. The role and responsibilities have certainly been expanding, right? And like you said, CIOs really now do have a seat at the table. All right. Well, speaking of technology, what is the most interesting technology project you'd say you worked on?
Yeah, I'll share two of them that I've kind of worked on in the past. And the first was we did a huge technology cutover for a hospital that we just acquired in Texas. The hospital, is obviously a 24/7 operations and provides critical care to patients. It brought in people from compliance, from legal, from operations, from IT, from administrators to kind of work together over the span of, gosh, like 5, 6 months, to plan for this kind of weekend cutover where you would change ownership along with rights to applications and support, and moving servers and databases to the right owners. And it took a lot of work. And was it hard during that time? Absolutely, but it was the most kind of fulfilling project that I've worked on for quite a while. And it was 100% successful due to the planning and collaboration of our team. And going back to the first point, it's, CIOs really lead that initiative, but we have to be able to work together with our counterparts in the other executive roles. And then the second one is while I was with CHE, the current company now, we really redesigned our website to be a direct-to-consumer website. And so we designed a place where, as a patient who may have anxiety or depression, who needs help, can reach our website, answer 2 or 3 questions, and then get matched with a provider that would fit their needs. And so I think that we've seen the KPI numbers, we've seen it improve, we've seen good outcomes from it. And so from a project standpoint, I think some of those have just been really promising and amazing.
Very cool. Now, was that mental health one, self-service born out of COVID or what initiated that?
Yeah, it was born out of COVID, and our initial website born out of COVID was very basic, right? It was hobbled together
Hmm.
technology from different vendors. And so we said, look, we're really improving this business. We're really seeing traction. How do we make it better for the patient? How do we make it streamlined for that interaction? And so we basically said, look, if we were to destroy our website tomorrow and rebuild it from scratch, here's what it would look like. And that was the vision that we went with.
Yeah, very cool. Thanks for sharing that. I'm going to check it out. All right. Now, what do you think have been the most significant keys to your success?
Oh, I've been so fortunate, to have so many kind of factors that play into my success. And so a couple of them, really to help grow my career would be, the first is I was super blessed with two great parents who really pushed academic and education on me at such a young age. And they kept working hard to kind of push me along. And as immigrant parents, right, scraping by, I can't imagine how hard it was for them to put food on the table as well as make sure, my sister and I and my little brother were, in school and making sure we're getting good grades. So that's one of them. The second piece is just grit. I think that plays a lot. I've had a lot of failures. I've had a lot of bumps and hiccups, but I think as long as you continue to push through, you'll start to see results. And then the last one, which is probably the biggest factor in all this, is I met my future wife in my early 20s, and she really shaped my success. And she's been my sounding board and always pushes me to be a better person. So whenever I have big decisions or ideas, I always run it by her, and she'll give me the true answer, not the one that I want to hear, but the real one. And I think it makes me better in the long run.
Yeah, that's great. I love the family references, so I really like that one. Next up, are there any tools or solutions that help you be more effective in your role?
Yeah, there's a lot, right? As you can imagine, on a day-to-day basis, executives and CIOs are bombarded with information and requests and things to do. And so, in my role, right, rapid information and communication is critical. And so, from a day-to-day perspective, our organization uses Microsoft Teams, for our department, and so it really keeps us connected. We have automation built into it, so we have triggers for urgent tickets and downtimes and criticality, and that really helps us keep things going on a day-to-day basis. And then for the larger kind of long-term projects, we use Asana to track our tasks and goals for completion. So I have a project manager who helps me kind of manage all that and keeps us all in check. And I think we can easily lose track of all the tasks and projects we need to do. But when we break it down using a project management tool like Asana, right, we can start to do bite-sized chunks that really help us get things done. And then in combination with those, right, we use Tableau and Lucid Chart to kind of visualize things. I think part of the CIO responsibility is to be able to translate and convey complex topics into more straightforward information to the leadership team and to everyone else, right? And so visualizing the workflows, building data to kind of push the initiative is really key.
Thanks for sharing those tools. Now, what advice would you give to others that seek a career as a CIO?
When I thought about this question, I thought of it as what would I like to hear 10 years ago from a senior CIO, right? And I think it would always be, look, always be willing to take on a challenge. Technology is ever changing, and so there's always something that you can learn or you don't know that you can be a little bit better at. And so there's always more than one way to solve a particular problem. And as the CIO, like your job or our job is to bring the most appropriate solution to the table that ties into the business needs. And so it's one of those things where if you want to get into the role, it's not all just fun and games and lunches and executive meetings and things like that, right? It's really roll up your sleeves, get into the nitty gritty, and help your teams make good decisions. And I think that's part of any executive or a CIO. I think for something for me to understand and everyone else to understand is look, you carry the responsibility of the entire department, not just yourself, right? And so you got to help every single person on your team achieve success so that as an organization, you're successful.
Yeah, that's great. Well, Vu, thanks so much for sharing these insights with our viewers. If you found today's session valuable, please be sure to visit our website to see a list of upcoming interviews. And if you're interested in participating, feel free to visit the URL on your screen, itexecutivescouncil.org/meet the CIO. All right. Well, thanks again for your time and great success to you, Vu, and all of our viewers in 2023 and beyond.
Thank you.